My next clip, it's going to be about a pretty silly subject, but it's not actually a funny or cutesy subject because it's actually has to do a lot about the history of the phenomenon called the UFOs, right? Or these circular objects or whatever people see in the sky that's completely overwhelmed by social media and news organizations who don't care about the consequences of those stupid ideas. While I say that, I'm also not going to be talking about it specifically in this audio clip. I'm mainly going to introduce the subject in this audio, and then in my next audio, or the next one after this one, about UFOs, I will get specific and talk about where this idea of UFOs originated from, what is more than likely the reality about these flying objects. Anyway, these flying objects, of course, have been used by the media to sell and generate more money, just like every other idea they use in their reporting or whatever. It would be silly to call them journalists or any of that sort, because they're not. In fact, I don't even know what journalism is. I just know that the word originates from journeymen, or people who journey to other places. But, if you're really going to be a journalist, I mean, I'd say you kind of need to give the story to the people you're going to focus on, right? If you're going to go to a different place of the planet to go and tell somebody's story, maybe you should just let them tell the story. They're probably it's way more accurate. In fact, if you really want to be a journalist, you might as well journey to these places and make their autobiography or biography or something. Because the only people really able to tell the truth about the places that they're living in are the people who are living there. Okay? I mean, I understand there's some people that do have the knowledge that can apply, and it can be related to the same situation that those people may be living in. But that's not the point right now. The point is that these UFOs don't come from extraterrestrials or any of that. They're simply weapons made during World War II, created by the Nazis to defend against aerial attacks that they had been attacked by. They, at this point, they were losing the war. They were getting shot at, thrown, bombed at, sabotaged, and they were finding new and clever ways to try and hide these operations, or hide their weapons, hide their scientific endeavors. And one of the ways that they did it was developing new technology. And one of those things was these round floating objects in the sky that allowed them to maneuver and fire back at these flying weapons who were destroying all their projects. Now, I have no proof. I'm not sure if there is. I'm still doing the work here, but everything points to that fact, that they were the ones who were investing and researching every single type of ability to try and get away with their plans of world domination with science. One thing that can be said is that when these flying objects were discovered, they were first discovered in places like Chile, Argentina, where a lot of Nazis went and sought refuge at the end of the war. So it's kind of ironic that when these Nazis left Germany and left to places in South America, that was the very place where these UFOs were first sighted. So that's why I say that all the evidence points to the fact that the Germans were the first to develop these flying objects in the sky. Now, why do people not tell this fact to people? Well, there's a lot of money to be made. There's magazines that people buy. There's people who make lives work on documenting and talking and writing about these flying objects in the sky, and at the same time coming up with these ideas that don't correlate with reality, like aliens and types of aliens, and the fact that somehow there's all kinds of species out there of aliens that are controlling the government, and that they have a spaceship somewhere, space station somewhere in outer space, close to Mars or something, I don't know, that somehow intelligence organizations go and travel to and talk about all the problems happening on Earth, and talk about how they're going to save the planet or something. Quite frankly, if that was true, extraterrestrials would probably have better luck at saving the planet than humans do. But that's just not true, and it's never going to happen, because no extraterrestrial has ever visited planet Earth, at least any extraterrestrial that humans know of. And it's just hilarious that these scientists at NASA and places like that are trying to colonize the solar system. That's just straight up a big lie. That's just straight up lie. That's just a straight up lie, because there's nothing out there, okay? And on Mars, there's nothing out there. It's just a bunch of radiation and objects that seem to look like they're man-made, but they're not. They're just craters being created by the universe, that constantly throw meteors and all types of planetary actions, like earthquakes, volcanoes and such. Mars has volcanoes, Mars has earthquakes. That's just a given. And a planet does that for a long time, you're bound to get some objects that look man-made. There's nothing out there. There's a bunch of radiation. There's nothing that can live out there. There's nothing out there. And for humans to somehow colonize those floating pieces of rock or gas is stupid, because humans aren't developed or aren't capable of living on any one of those environments. Though, if we keep going the way we are going, we might create that same environment right here at home. So, just give it some time. So that's pretty hilarious, and it's a waste of money. More for them, less for us, right? And I'll also be connecting this whole UFO phenomenon to a stupid idea by the Nazis, which is the Aryan race, right? Well, not very. It's a stupid idea, but it's a very dangerous idea, because many of these extraterrestrials are deemed to be beautiful creatures with blonde hair and beautiful white skin. And that implies to most people out there that somehow the people to take over this planet are not meant to be brown or black or any of that. Because the people that should be taking over this planet are supposedly the Aryans, or the Aryan race. People with blue eyes, blonde hair, white skin. And this doesn't matter if you, a lot of people might believe this, doesn't matter if you're black, brown, or whatever. A lot of people might believe that they are the ones who develop all this technology, and that somehow they're the smart ones in this, and that somehow they're the ones that should inherit the planet, and who knows what they might do with everyone else. So that's a dangerous idea, and it comes from a fantasy world about fantasy extraterrestrials. This also goes back to the development of HIV, which I'll also be talking about. That ironically somehow usually affects black African people. There's more great science for you. And as we all know, the Nazis experimented with all kinds of biological weapons and physical weapons and all kinds of stuff. So that's what we'll be talking about. But for right now, I'll just leave you with that. I hope you will keep listening.